Back again? Still part of the world? How nice. I suppose you feel comfortable in the chair where you are sitting to watch this short podcast. You can reach down and feel the solid floor on which it stands. And you can reach upwards towards the ceiling without touching it and be safe that it will not fall down and hit your head. You have a screen in front of you, and if you wish, you may turn around and see that the wall behind you is straight and will not attack you from behind. Most probably you also have enough space around you so that you can stretch your arms in both directions. We have now just defined the 3 dimensions of space that surrounds you. 1 vertical, 2 horizontals, representing the 6 directions available for you physical movement: up, down, forward, backward, left and right. Most certainly you rarely think about it, for it is part of your world, permitting you movement around places. It has been like this ever since you were born. Your entire orientation in the world is practically unlimited within these spatial dimensions, yet they are also physically your absolute limit. You simply cannot move beyond. Space is, to our experience and understanding, 3-dimensional. We have a real challenge even trying to visualize a 4th dimension, one that is perpendicular to all 3 known dimensions. Just try, and you will hit the wall. So follow me taking you down a dimension, into 2-dimensional space. I take this image from Edwin Abbott's book, Flatland. It was written in the 1800s. A 2-dimensional space is, to our understanding, no space at all. The vertical is missing. So it becomes like an infinitely thin sheet of paper. Let us just imagine beings living in this space as flat geometrical bodies. The triangular guy will be recognized by his oval girlfriend by his edges, and vice versa. Then suddenly a new hexagonal being shows up, actually a pencil traversing the 2-dimensional world of theirs. Born into their world as a small circular body, it changes into a hexagonal one, living in there until it has completely passed through. This strange being died after a short hexagonal life in this 2-dimensional world, and no 2-dimensional being would be able to understand its true shape or its continued existence and life after passing. Another aspect of the passing through of this pencil-shaped 3-dimensional being in time is time. It is born, lives for a while, and dies when it leaves this world, this 2-dimensional world. We may consider that its attention, its perception of its long shape, is limited to exactly the part of it that at every moment is within the sheet-thin figment of contact with this world, interacting with the trigonal, oval, square, and other living beings there. Now try to transfer this image to our 3-dimensional world. Just consider the fact that we all emerge from within another 3-dimensional being, our mother. If you try to visualize your body along a timeline, as long as one pencil that we described, passing through 3-dimensional space in the same way, you would see the beginning with a tiny point at the moment of conception, changing shape as time passes, and its release into the room while continuously changing shape every second as it continues to pass through. Imagine the whole body of a person as a long 4-dimensional structure, covering the entire time span from conception to death. A strange figure surely it is, but you may visualize it. If you consider this body as being pulled through 3-dimensional space, the changes of its appearance at every moment are similar to that of the pencil-shaped body passing through 2-dimensional space. This movement is linked to the concept of time. In this way you may consider time in our world as a fourth dimension similar to the three-dimensional time passing through the two-dimensional flatland. Nobody can prove it is like this, but I give it some thought. Time is a mystery to man, just as provoking as existence itself. What is the mechanism of time? Are we considering time being a fourth dimension within which our world, so to say, floats? Just imagine, and you will soon have to reach out for something firm, grasping for security in the world that you know, where you feel safe. Reaching into existential questions of this kind, it is not for the intellectually faint-hearted, for it is like stepping off a cliff into thin air to see if it carries. I have done this insane exercise a number of times, and it causes vertigo every time. Here's the question. Time is the same as a fourth-dimensional physical dimension. Is it a fourth dimension? It is a challenging question. For then, what is gravity according to Einstein's when it bends space-time? The entire web of our four dimensions. A fifth dimension? Well, let us continue along this path. Moving into quantum physics and string theory, actually what is today considered as the basis of matter. We face physicists talking about a world made of 10 or even 11 dimensions. They say that those dimensions are curled up within the quantum world. How? Are you able to visualize this? I bet you have some real difficulties here. Even trying to consider what a dimension actually is becomes difficult. As you may remember in a previous podcast, I talked about cosmos being absolutely eternal and limitless. That is, with no beginning and no end in both space and time. That it is basically consciousness. Now you really need to stretch your imagination. If the entire cosmos, containing the entire universe we know and more, is pure consciousness, then it applies that you and I and everyone else is built from consciousness. By construction upon a quantum world, the so-called particles making up every atom of our bodies and everything else is made of. You and everything material in this world is consciousness coagulated into particles, quantum particles that last for the fraction of a second and being continuously replaced. The way you and I are constructed over a fleeting quantum production is what gives us matter. A body to live in and a world to touch and enjoy. Time is our perception of the continuous flow from the quantum level, changing us, our entire composition, as well as all that is becoming, passing and disappearing, in short, our entire material world. The way we are built into existence is what gives us and limits us to this space-time world of three physical dimensions and linear time. Our senses are both our doors to this world and that which limits us. As I said, our fourth dimension is time, linear time. We perceive time just as the way we perceive space, as a linear phenomenon. We may imagine a future, and we have memories of the past, yet we are always in the now, that we do not really experience until briefly after it has become past. Time is just as fluid as the material world. What limits our perception also limits our imagination. In the same way that we cannot visualize a fourth physical dimension, we are unable to imagine time of more than one dimension. The problem is that we are the limits. Our entire existence is framed within the way we are constructed as physical, three-dimensional beings, with 5 limited senses giving us 5 sectors of material experience. The intellect alone, with its imaginative capacity, may serve as an escape. Yet our psychic nature has an open gate to experiences that reach the beyond. What it all depends on is your capacity to reach into these higher realms, beyond dimensions, through your own consciousness. Then it will open up, and you will see beyond and reach insights into that which science only scratches the surfaces, philosophy has struggled with for ages, and religions are filled with comforting tales, all limited by intellectual imagination and material dimensions. Now, as a final exercise, try to visualize dimensions growing out of each other. The 1, 2, 3 physical ones, linear time as a fourth dimension, and from it new dimensions as each floats away into a higher dimensional reality. Gravity becomes a time-bending fifth, and ends up being caught up in even higher dimensions. Imagination cracks your skull open. The brain floats out of your head into absurdity. Imagination has no end. Consciousness is endless. There are no limits. Dimensions become imagination, and they disappear into deep light.